Okay, so I am going to do the hidden skills behind school success. So it's a bit of not a 180, but a bit of a turn in topic where we're going. And I want to engage with you as much as possible. I do feel a bit far, so please do engage. If you are able and capable, please do the experiments and the things with me, because I want you to take home practical ideas. It doesn't help I give you all the theory. I know that would take 4 years of studying. I want you to take something home that you can do at home. And for that, sometimes our bodies need to feel it. Sometimes our bodies need to experience that. Okay, so let's go. All right, so in this session, we're going to put the fun in functional. All right, I hope that it will be understandable for you if we make it very practical. So some of the things that I'm planning, firstly, some physical experiments. That sounds hectic, it's really not. It's just so that your body can experience something. And then we're going to focus quite a bit on the building blocks of development, because if you know what the building blocks are, you can build up your child's development yourself, and you don't need a therapist necessarily. We're going to touch a little bit on ADHD, and then we'll go home with some tips and takeaways. All right. Okay, so let's jump into the first, physical. Okay, so you've been sitting here for quite a while now, so can we all stand up together if you are able? If you are not able, I truly understand. And all right, so we're just going to do something very easy. If you can, just lift up your leg if you can, without holding the chair if you can, otherwise hold the chair, hold each other, whichever way, forward, sideways, backwards. All right, let's take a nice deep breath in and breath out. All right, can we swap legs? Do you think we can do the other one? Can we lift up our leg? Just breathe in and breathe out. You did it. All right, easy peasy, right? Okay, we can sit down. So you'll hear me saying it a few times. So what you just did is you regulated your body. So are you sitting down now and ready for more information? Just because of that movement break, your brain is ready to take in more information. And that is a fact. All right. So easy peasy. That didn't even take 2 minutes, right? Okay. So I want to get to the theory so that we can get to the practical. Okay. So we are going to look at the building blocks of development. And I want to show it like that to you. And I actually want to build a big block tower here so that you can remember that we need to build from the bottom to the top. And I think a lot of people will say that to you. We need to build the foundation, and then the walls, and then the ceiling, and then the roof. It all has to happen in those steps. So what we are seeing as occupational therapists, we see a lot of people coming in with that tip of the iceberg. So that's that top block, right? We see kids coming in with activities of daily living. That's that one that says ADL. They come in with activities of daily living issues. They can't get dressed. They can't potty train. They don't eat. They don't want to put on their clothes. We see children struggling with school learning. They can't read. My child is struggling to sit still in school. My child is struggling to listen to the teacher, And then we get behavior. My kid has tantrums all the time. My kid can't regulate their emotions. So this is what we see when we are in practice. And when we see that, we dive deep into the bottom and figure out where those holes are. So what I want you to understand today is you can build from the bottom up. You can, as a parent, do that. And I'm going to tell you how. Okay, so let's break this tower down. It looks a little bit crazy. We're going to break it down. We're going to start with sensory development. And this is one of my favorite parts of occupational therapy. I'm very, very passionate about it. And it's because it's the foundation. And it's fun. It's really fun. Okay, so in school, we all learned we have 5 senses. We can see, we can smell, we can taste, we can hear, we can feel. But there are 3 other senses that they are missing and not teaching us about. But that's not important. What is important is that they are there and that you are learning about them today. And those 3, I can tell you now, are the hidden gems that we need for our children's development. So I'm going to go through all of them so you can learn about them. All right. The top right corner is a big word called proprioception. I'm going to say it a lot of times, so let's quickly get used to the word proprioception, proprioception, proprioception. You want to say it with me? Proprioception. All right, you're going to hear that one a lot. Okay, so let's hear what is proprioception. You can see it says body awareness, and I think a better way for us to understand it, it's our internal GPS. It's my body saying, where am I? What do I have? And what do I do with it? Okay, it's the internal GPS, proprioception. Okay, so another experiment. Can we all close our eyes? I want you to close your eyes and sit as still as you can. And think about all your joints. How is your ankle bent right now? How is your knee bent right now? How are your hips? Is anyone slouching? Think about your body. Is your head turned a little bit? Your shoulders, your elbows? So without seeing, without feeling, without moving, you know where your body is. All right. So now, before you open your eyes, take your finger and touch your nose. There we go. All right. So we all used our proprioceptive system to touch our nose. Okay, we can open up our eyes. So can you see you didn't use your tactile, you didn't use your visual, you didn't smell your finger all the way to your nose, right? You moved your finger there without seeing, without feeling. It was proprioception. All right. So that is the sense that tells you how high to lift up your foot, to climb a step. It's the sense that tells you how much effort to put in to pick up a bottle. Okay, if I put in too much effort, I'm going to hit it off the table, right? If I don't put enough effort, I'm just going to move it. It's not going to work. All right. So that's proprioception, one of the beautiful hidden senses. Okay, the next one, just below proprioception, is called interoception. We're not going to spend too much time with interoception, but it is a very, very important sense. That sense is the one that tells you, I'm hungry, I'm thirsty, I need to go to the toilet, I have a tummy ache, I have a muscle ache. That is the one that tells you, ouch, I stood in a thorn, right? So you can already hear how that is a super important sense. So you think, okay, but why is that relevant for learning? If you are hungry as a child or thirsty, can you learn? You probably can't. You probably will be hangry. You probably can't concentrate. You'll probably take out your emotions on someone else, but you are not ready to learn. If you think about potty training, now thinking of little kids, right? If they don't know it's time to go, then they can't learn to potty train yet. And that's why, to put an age to potty training, I'm always a little bit skeptical. Like, your child needs to know they need to go so that you can potty train. Okay, so do you understand how it is important in different ages for them to know what's going on inside their bodies? All right. The next one, the third important sense that we don't know a lot about is the vestibular sense. So we're going to say vestibular a lot as well. So we're going to practice that together as well. You can say it a few times, vestibular, vestibular, vestibular. All right, great stuff. You guys are so engaging. I love it. Okay, so the vestibular sense, there's an organism in your ear that tells your body where your head is. Okay, so it tells you about movement in your body. Very, very important. When my head goes this way, I have to engage certain muscles. Otherwise, I'm going to be falling over, right? If I want to move forward, you will always see people move with their heads first. Nobody walks like this. Well, if they do, send them to therapy. But they actually we move with our heads first. If you're lying in your bed and you want to roll, I promise you, first thing you're going to do is go with your head. Okay, so your head shows your body which muscles to engage to do certain exercises and certain movements. Okay, so if I see a ball there and I want to kick that ball, I have to move. I move with my head first. You can see my head is ahead. And then I know which muscles to engage not to fall on my face, hopefully, and I can kick the ball. All right, so that is the vestibular sense. And now you're wondering, okay, but why is that important for learning? If you don't know how to move your body for certain things, you're not going to be able to sit on a chair. And when you are sitting on your chair at school trying to balance, because you don't have vestibular sense, are you going to be able to listen to a teacher? No. If you don't know how to move your body to kick that ball, do you think you're going to be able to move your hand and put it on a paper? No. So from those senses, you develop skills that are necessary for school later on. Okay, so sensory development is the most important part of a child's development. And that includes a lot of play and movement. You hear everything is basically got movement involved, right? Where's your arm? Where's your body? Kicking, running, where's your body? So a lot of movement, okay. And I'm going to show you now how all the schooling skills grow out of those ones. Okay, so remember with me, proprioception, interoception, and vestibular. Vestibular, the movement sense. Okay, so we're going to just pause on that a little bit. Something that I also wanted to show you is what does dysregulation look like, all right? Because what happens when we use our senses to learn, but when our senses get overwhelmed, we can go into dysregulation as well. So here's just a little picture of a girl. You can see something, she's wearing maybe socks or something, and the seams are irritating her a little bit. Mommy's cooking something new, it's a funny smell. And brother is shouting there, he's being a little bit loud. I actually just want to run and have fun. And next moment, someone takes my toy. That's like the last straw. So all of my senses are being overwhelmed and I go into dysregulation. And what does that look like? That looks like tantrums. That looks like shouting. That looks like I'm out of control. Have you seen a look in your child's eyes like they are out of control? I need to help you right now because you can't regulate yourself, right? So that also happens when sensory development doesn't happen properly. And that happens to children. It is just something that happens and we can learn how to manage that with them, right? Let me give you an example of you being dysregulated. Okay. How many of you have ever gone to a new place and you're going into a parking lot and you put the radio off so that you can concentrate where to park? Has anyone done that before? That's actually you being dysregulated. And you're like, I need to do something to concentrate. I put off the radio. Now this sense is not overstimulated. And now at last I can concentrate. What a funny thing. But it's dysregulation. And you are adults. You've learned to manage that. A child's not going to say, Mommy, put off the radio. Sometimes they will, but sometimes they won't say, put off the radio. My body can't take it right now. And then they go into this overdrive and you're like, you don't understand why. They were just fine. And all of a sudden they're not fine, hey? So we need to learn also, we need to learn about our children's sensory development and their sensory profiles, like what overstimulates them. Is it sound? Is it busy shows on the TV or whatever it is, so that we can help them and we can teach them about their bodies as well. All right. But if you invest in your children's sensory development in general, that dysregulation will start to become regulation. They will learn themselves if you invest in that sensory development. Okay. I want to give another example of adults being dysregulated because I really want you to understand that it's something that we have learned to manage as adults and we need to help our children. We need to figure out which sense is going whack. Hey? Like, are you hungry? Like, is it interoception? Is it that the car is moving and you are looking down at something and you are getting car sick or something? Is it that the music is too loud? Is it because we're in the bathroom and all the sounds is just too much with the bubbles? Is it that your clothes are bothering you and you like keeping it together and then last straw happens and you throw that tantrum? So, okay, just one more example for an adult. Are many of you people that work on computers? Do many of you work on computers? Okay, so sometimes you're working on your computer and you're like, okay, I'm just going to get up and go make tea or coffee or something. And you walk, you make tea, make coffee, you go back and you're ready to work again. That was regulating yourselves. You regulated yourselves. You realized, I can't concentrate anymore. And you stood up, you made coffee. I mean, there's nothing fancy and spiritual about making coffee, right? You just got up, made coffee, and you're back on your seat and suddenly you can concentrate. Okay, so we also get dysregulated. I know myself, I'm very sensitive to my auditory sense. So in the bathroom, the sounds get a lot for me. I think that's also why this speaker here was initially a bit funky for me. Because if there's too many sounds, then I feel like I can't be regulated and I can't control my emotions. So I will often even tell my kids, listen, mommy's just going to take a breath outside the bathroom. You sit, just keep singing songs so I know you're alive. And then I'll stand outside and I'll take a breath. And I'm not even joking. I will say, Aria, I don't hear you singing. I just want to make sure she's still alive. But anyway, so I also have to get to know my sensory development. So I am regulated as a parent. And sometimes you have to do those things so that you can be a better parent, right? Put down the music or go outside and take a breath. And it also shows your children that you're a human, right? We are not perfect. Okay. So very important is sensory development. You can now imagine that when your child is in that state of dysregulation, do you think they can learn? They can't learn. Like when they are in that state, do they listen to your lectures? No, they don't. No. What they respond to is, I'm here, how can I help you? And once they are okay, you can give that nice lecture, right? There's a whole day that we can spend on regulation, but the point is we have to develop their sensory skills for them to be able to overcome the dysregulation and for them to be able to grow. All right. Okay, so let's go on to what builds on top of sensory development, because we can't get stuck in sensory development. All right, so sensory development is our foundation. And then we have the next level is gross motor and fine motor. All right, so you can see there's a lot of things at the top. We're going to just go through them quickly. We're going to start on the far right. So you can see I already spoke about when your head moves, proprioception, when you move your body, muscles develop. Okay, we all need muscles. Nobody in here, if you did not have muscles, you'll be a blob on the floor. All right. Your arms won't be able to keep themselves together. Your body won't be able to keep yourself together. I'm not talking muscle, Jimmy type muscles. We need muscles to sit at a chair. You need muscles to cut meat and to put it in your mouth. Okay, muscle development. Then the next thing is motor planning. So we use our senses to plan to do something. I was talking about the bottle. So motor planning works like this. I want to pick up the bottle. I have to use my proprioception to think how much effort I'm putting into the bottle. I want to move forward to get the bottle. So where does my head go? I'm using my vestibular sense. Which muscles am I engaging not to fall over in front of my bottle? So proprioception, obviously visual, proprioception, vestibular, and then to put it to my mouth and not miss, proprioception. Where is my body again? Do you see how something easy, like taking a sip of water, just comes from sensory development? Okay, so motor planning sounds like a big word, but it's all just planning something using your senses. Okay, any motor thing, me holding this mic at the right place, it takes proprioception. It takes my muscles here to know which muscles to engage so that I am able to stand and speak here. Okay, so literally for the smallest thing for your child, to learn to button, to learn to zip, to learn to pull your pants down, to go to the toilet, you need motor planning. And for motor planning, I need vestibular sense, I need proprioception, I need sometimes visual, I need tactile because I need to feel, what am I touching? Am I touching the top of the bottle or the bottom? All right, do you see how I'm using all my senses? All right, next we have balance. I think I've touched on that, right? When your head goes this side, these muscles have to engage so you don't fall over this side, same as this side, right? And then we have coordination. I touched on that a little bit as well, right? So when I want to pick up the bottle, kick the ball, maybe hit a bat or something, I need to know where my body is, how much effort to put in. I need to feel my body moving. I need to see this ball moving and make all those plans together to hit that ball. It sounds like such a small thing. But if your vestibular system is not working well, if your proprioceptive system is not working well, you won't be able to put those steps together to hit a ball. Okay, and hitting a ball sounds like an easy thing, but when you get to class, if you can't hit a ball, do you think you'll be able to pick up a pen and put it on a line to start writing your name? You won't. You'll struggle. All right, so coordination is built on top of sensory development. Okay, then we have a big word, bilateral integration. It sounds like a big word, but it's so easy. Bi means two, lateral means side, integration means together. So two sides together. Does that make sense? Bilateral integration. Okay, so why do we need that? Us as adults, when you are driving, this hand does this, if you don't have an automatic, and then this hand does this foot does this foot does this, all at the same time. So you're using like your whole brain, and you're using different motions with different pieces of your body to do something. Okay, so where do kids use this? Hey, they use it when they're reading. From left to right, I have to page. Okay, so two sides of the body doing different things. When I'm cutting, this hand needs to turn the circle while this hand goes up. While I'm writing, one hand needs to hold the book when I'm writing. All right, so it's a very important skill for schooling. Okay, and from bilateral integration, we also have, I see I didn't put it up there, something called midline crossing. So we all have a midline here. And it sounds very fancy, but it's just to say this side of the brain manages this side of the body, and this side of the brain manages this side of the body. And we need that crossing to happen so we can use both sides. If we don't have that crossing, we have, for instance, I have a little music group that I do, and the one little boy will sit like this and he'll play the drum like this. Do you think this boy will have fun writing on a page from left to right? No. All right. And imagine this boy in class, while he's working, he's sitting like this, but now he has to work there. Then he turns his body over here. And then you see, how must this little boy sit still in class? And how must the boy next to him pay attention when he's moving left and right? Okay, so midline crossing is a very important skill that we get from bilateral integration from the vestibular sense, proprioceptive sense. Okay, are you with me? There's so much theory going in here, but I just want you to get this, to understand how important it is. Okay, all right, body awareness, we've spoken about where's my body, that grows directly from proprioception. And then postural stability. This one is important. So your core muscles, your shoulder muscles, your arm muscles, for you to be able to write, you need these muscles to be developed, and that develops directly from the vestibular sense and proprioceptive sense. So I want to show you something. If I don't develop shoulder muscles develop by like climbing, crawling, hanging, those things that you say to your kid, don't do it, you're going to fall. Those things need to be taught safely, because if I don't have this muscle, when I write, I can't keep this stabilized, so I can't do this. I'll be doing this. And do you think this child with unstable shoulder will write neatly in his book? It's going to take him a while to learn how to write his name neatly, and then the lines get smaller the older you get. So we need to develop postural stability, hanging, climbing, but that's all from the vestibular sense and the proprioceptive sense. And then lastly, pencil grasp. Super easy idea, but super important idea. If I don't have my tactile sense, let me just get a pen. I did actually bring one to show you. There's a speaker here that's going to... All right. If I don't have my tactile sense, I'm not going to know where to hold the pen because I can't feel it. So I'm just holding it wherever so I can hold it. All right. If I don't have my proprioceptive sense, I'm not going to know which finger to go where, and I'm not going to know how to move my arm. All right. And the visual sense, obviously, with the proprioception to see where I'm writing. Do you see how pencil grasp comes from sensory development? All right. Let's move on just a little bit quicker. All right, perceptual development, that's the development that we see at school a lot. Visual perception is like shapes and numbers. Language skills, I'm not going to touch on too much. I'm sure Sally did a great job at that. And then ocular motor control is the movement of your eyes. Okay, so your eyes are muscles, right? Where do muscles develop from? Your senses. Okay, so if you don't develop your senses, you can't read from left to right without moving your head. And imagine having to read like this all day long. That's going to be hard, right? Even on the soccer field, you can't see very far and you can't focus. So you're going to be looking like this on the soccer field. Hey, and that's not very practical for any child. Okay, and then eye-hand coordination, I touched on quite a bit already with the pencil grasp, putting the senses together. And then attention functions, like I said before, if you can't sit still, if your body doesn't have the posture to sit up and you're sitting like this, do you think that child can learn in school? If your child's getting irritated with the seams in his clothes and the loud noises and all the things, do you think he can actually hear what the teacher is saying at that moment? He's not ready for that learning. All right. So you can see how it all develops from sensory. Okay. I think there was one more thing that I wanted to say. Visual perception. I just want to explain that a little bit better. If you don't learn about your body, this finger is smaller than this space, it's smaller than this is big, this one is short, this one is long. If you don't learn that on your body, you won't learn it on shapes. You're not going to see the difference between a circle and an oval. And if you don't see the difference between a circle and an oval, are you going to see the difference between a U and a Y? I don't know. I don't think so. If you don't know the difference between a square and a rectangle, are you going to know the difference between an A and a U? There's a little open space there that's funky, right? So all of these things come from development, from sensory development. Okay. And then, as I said, at the top, we get activities of daily living, school, and behavior. So they all grow. It's basically all fruit from sensory development. And like sensory development is really that hidden skill that you can give your children the extra, right, to be able to flourish in those areas at the top. Let me just explain to you, just think about these things. ADL. Let's think about waking up, putting on clothes. Just think about the sensory development. Where does my arms go in this shirt? I need to go to the toilet because I slept the whole night. Now I need to go to the toilet. So using interoception. I used proprioception to put on my clothes. I used the vestibular sense to move, to do all those things. Do you see how that's ADL, right? And then it comes with eating as well. I need to know where my mouth is. It comes in with any of those daily activities. And then obviously I already said school. And then behavior is the one that we see if they get that dysregulated. Remember we spoke about getting dysregulated. All right. So do you see how they all work together to the top? Okay. All right. And then we're going to quickly do another physical because I can see we are all getting dysregulated from this long, long day. Can we all stand up for a minute? Okay. We can all just stand up for a minute. Okay. All right. I want you to put one hand on your head and one hand on your tummy. Okay, we know this one, right? One hand is going to do this and the other hand is going to do a circle. Okay, let's see who can do it. Like this. Yes. Oh, yes. Good, good. Now let's swap hands. Same job. If this one was hitting, then this one must make a circle. It's a little bit more difficult now this time around, right? Are you getting it? Are you getting it? Small circles, it's still working. Good job. All right, you can all sit down. And now our bodies are ready to learn again because we just quickly regulated our bodies. What I also want to tell you is if you struggled initially, it's because your proprioceptive sense was like, okay, wait, I need to do this again and again and again. Okay, I got it. That was your proprioceptive sense, learning, giving you feedback. All right, so just to motivate you, proprioceptive sense and vestibular senses can be developed. Okay, all right. Let's quickly go on. So I don't want to spend too much time on this one. I'm just going to go straight here. So this is also the development of learning. I wanted to bring this one in because it correlates a lot with my building blocks. But also if you have a specific child that has a specific schooling issue, to show you where to start. Where do we start? We start with the body. Ha! Sensory development. Okay. So these kids are learning to go in a circle. Tra-la-la-la-la. They're learning, a circle. Let's stand in a circle. Let's hold our hands. Let's make a circle with our arms. And then the next game, 3D, they feel the circle. They touch the circle. They can feel, this one feels different than a square. And then next comes 2D. Then they see, okay, circle and square are not the same on the paper. And only then do they learn, I draw a circle for a O. Or for a A, I make a circle and a thingy, a streepie. So do you see how that also correlates with what we already learned from the sensory development? They need to feel it. They need to live it with their bodies. Their senses need to see it, feel it, and then only they can do it in a 3D sense, but still, they need to feel it. They need to move it. They need their bilateral integration to build. And only then can they do the 2D. But do you think they can do the 2D if they can't cross their midlines? No, they can't match. They'll probably do it like this, and that'll take much longer. All right, so sensory development. And then on top, we have the formation. And at school, we need to write from left to right. We need to cross the midline. We need to hold the book. We need to use both hands, bilateral integration, and that grows from sensory development. Okay, all right. Okay, so I wanted to show you if I was a little boy and I never did, and I never did with an aeroplane in my hand, and I never did it on a paper or on the floor with my little car, I'm going to struggle with something like that. Okay, so when your child is struggling to write, don't start there. Let's go back one. We're going to start all the way over there. We're going to start with their bodies. All right. Make it with your body, then we make it 3D, and then 2D. And a 3D shape on a 2D paper is not the same as 3D. 3D is blocks. Hold it, touch it, feel it. Okay, all right, let's move on here. Haha, I have a nice experiment that I'm super glad we're going to get to. Okay, is there someone that can help me hand out each person one paper and one cookie? I think I have enough. Right. Right, so I'm going to give instructions. Can you multitask? I'm going to give instructions while they quickly hand out. Just one paper, and you can do it on your lap. You can do it on the chair next if you want. It's not about what it looks like. This is going to be what it feels like, because we're learning with our senses. All right. Okay, one paper, one cookie. Okay. Once everyone has these, we're going to close our eyes, and you're going to draw a little house. It only needs 5 things. Okay, and it's just for you. I'm not even going to look at it. You only need 5 things. Okay, you need the house, so it has to have walls and a roof, a door, 2 windows, a chimney, and smoke. That's only 5 things. All right, and it's just you. You do it just for you. All right, so when you're ready, you can close your eyes. Close your eyes. You can do it. You can do it. Remember, it doesn't need to be perfect. I want you to realize something. Close your eyes and don't cheat, because you're not cheating me, you're cheating yourself. All right, I tell that to my children all the time. It needs to be a house with a roof, a door, 2 windows, chimney, and smoke. All right, when you're ready, close your eyes. You can do it. Eyes closed. If you did it, eyes open, just turn around. You can do the other side. Thank you so much. Try it. You can do it. Nice. I love it. It's weirdly accurate, right? So you've got some good proprioception there, hey? Okay, how's everyone doing? Nice. Ooh, promise me you didn't cheat. Fantastic proprioception. Do you gym? Do you gym? Fantastic. Nice. Good job. Good job. You guys did better than you think, right? You did better than you thought. Hey? Well done. I love it. Well done. Hey? So you used your proprioceptive sense 100%. I love how you're laughing at each other's pictures. I love it. Okay. So did you see that you have used your proprioceptive sense? It's quite nicely developed, most of you. I'm so impressed. But if we ask children to do it, it might not come out so nicely. Okay, I just wanted you to feel what proprioception feels like. And if you don't use your visual, you can actually still get something nice out of it. Hey? So you used your internal GPS, such an important skill. So that is one of the skills we need to develop in our children. Don't forget that one. Okay, so you can put it under your seat. Maybe do it with your child, see how they how they compare. All right. Okay, so here's a lot of theory about ADHD and sensory integration disorder. So I want you to understand that ADHD and sensory integration disorders. It's a big word. Sensory is the stuff that we've been talking about. Integration is working together. And disorders, we know what disorders are, right? So if our senses don't work together well, okay, that's what that is. Okay, those two things can coexist. They can. Okay, you can have a child with ADHD that has sensory issues, and you can also have an ADHD child that doesn't have sensory issues, and you can have a child who only has sensory issues and no ADHD. Okay, and it's important to see the differences, all right? But something that I also want to tell you, it is important to see, in the next slide I'll show you, that the professionals are the same people, and they can help you in either way, all right? They should. All right, okay. So let's firstly look. ADHD is a neurodevelopmental condition. It's something in your brain, neurodevelopmental, okay. And then sensory integration issues is overreactivity or underreactivity to our senses, like being offended by our themes, right? And too much sound. Those are the sensory things, okay. The ADHD looks like sometimes daydreaming. Tantrums can be both sides, but often ADHD tantrums are when a child is out of control. All right, they feel out of control, and then they have those tantrums. Okay, and struggling with organizing things, struggling to follow directions, struggling to sit still, obviously quietly, and do one activity, finish one activity. And then also fidgets a lot and constantly moving. Okay, so those are some signs of ADHD. And then the sensory things are more like, I can't listen when the radio is on. Like, it's too much for me. Or when you are in a crowded place, like a spur is supposed to be fun, why are you not having fun? Okay, that might be a sensory issue. When you struggle with routines, or when a day is out of routine, when you have meltdowns because the day is different than you thought it would be, that can be sensory issues. Okay, when people move awkwardly, we've seen children that move awkwardly, or they look like they're not planning this well. They keep bumping over things, you know, and clumsy and uncoordinated. Sensitivity to clothes, I already said that one. Undersensitivity can look like, I always need to touch you. I always need to be against something. You know, when they're like always against the wall or against the table or something like that. Okay. So you can see that there's quite a difference between the two. They can coexist, but it is also important to see which one is which, because we don't want to give a child medication that just has some sensory issues, right? And if we have sensory issues, we should address that. Right. I always say there are many things we can try before medication. I always say that to my people, my patients. Okay, so the thing is, why we need to look at this is these children have emotional and social issues, right? Especially children with ADHD, they have trouble following social rules. They make it hard to keep friends. And because of that, because of the negative feedback that they get and friends don't want to play with them, they have a bad self-esteem. So if we don't help them in their ADHD, if we don't help them, they're going to be very unpopular. They're going to be, you're the naughty child. And I say to my children, they're not allowed to say that. Someone maybe did something naughty, but you don't label another child. So we don't want our children to be labeled as naughty or that child that screams all the time or something. You don't want that. We want to help them, right? So you have to help them appropriately. Okay, sensory integration, children, they also have similar emotional and social impact, but they often feel anxious, often avoiding. If you have that, it's more often a sensory issue than it is an ADHD. Because what happens is, say, okay, like I said, the clothes are bothering me, the sound is bothering me, and everything becomes too much. They can even have a little panic attack because their heart starts to beat way too fast, right? And then they can get into that out of control, shouting with their mouth open this big. It happens, right? And we need to help them, okay? When they become that child in class, they also have a stigma, the boy that shouts so much. We don't want that. We don't like stigmas, right? Okay, and they get excluded from parties. They get excluded from the game because sometimes they just need a bit of personal space. So teaching your children about their senses teaching them they have a personal space, it's also a safe thing to do. Okay. All right. So what I want you to see is the professionals that can help are the same. The pediatric neurologists, psychiatrists, educational psychologists, clinical psychologists, and occupational therapists, they are the same. And they must be able to distinguish for you, and then they will help with therapy, helping with coping mechanisms, helping with some doctors can prescribe medications, behavioral therapies. So they can do those things for you, but I don't want to go too much on what they can do. I want to go on what you can do. All right. Let's quickly go to the next slide. Okay, so can we look at the bottom one just for time's sake? Strategies that families can try at home. Okay, so I want you to see the difference between the two. As I said, they can coexist, but sometimes it's good to know which one is at this moment important, right? So for kids with ADHD, it's good to help them structure their day. A visual chart. This needs to happen today. When you've done the first one, you can cross it off, or you can pluck a sticker, on top of it. Okay. Visual schedules, checklist. Walk through it with them. Break it down for them. We're going to do this, then this, then this, then this. All right. Allow breaks for homework and study. Ooh, this one is so important for me. Because what happens in that break? Who can say it? Who can say the word? Regulation. Someone started it. Thank you. Regulation. So happens in that break. Okay. If you ever hear your child was kept inside for break time, I personally would go see the principal, because you are taking away regulation time for my child. You can find a more creative way to discipline children than keeping them in break time. Because if you don't regulate that child, do you think his behavior is going to get better? No, it's not. Hey, they need to regulate. Okay. Homework needs movement breaks. Don't sit until you are done. Obviously, boundaries. You can say, okay, I can see you are getting a bit fidgety. We're going to do 10 jumping jacks and we're going to go back. And they'll enjoy it. You can say, okay, we're going to jump for 10 frogs and then go back. All right. You can tell them, you choose an animal, because mommy can't think at the moment anymore, because I know. And then they choose an animal, they do 10 and they go back. You can set those boundaries. They may move, they may regulate, but you can set those boundaries for how long. Okay, because they need to get through the homework as well. Okay, and give advance warning about changes in schedules and explain to your child what to expect in new situations. I think that's such an important thing that we can all do, because that helps your child to sometimes a child that has sensory issues, to prepare him to know we're going to spur, but then we're going to come home, then we're going to bath, and then we're going to go to bed. Okay. So I just have to hold out a little bit because spur is loud, but we'll go home and then I'm going to have my safety of my bath and my bedtime. All right. So if you just explain that to them, their sensory development, or there's the awareness of what's going to happen in my body, they can actually manage that because they can think ahead and prepare for that. Okay. So talking them through that is very important. Okay. Let's look at sensory issues. So very specific per sensory thing, you can actually help them. So for clothes, you can look for seamless clothes. You know what I've done with my son, because he gets like that. I turn his shirt inside out. And then he wears the shirt with the seams inside out. And he just thinks it's hilarious. He calls it it's an Afrikaans now, but inside out day, or agterste voordag or whatever. So he thinks he's very special because he gets to wear his clothes like that. But tagless, seamless clothes, I just saw it the other day at Pick n Pay. I saw there's a bunch of seamless underwear for children, which is great. Okay, divided plates. Sometimes they don't like the plates being messy, the food, if they are all picky. Have something in this spot, this spot, this spot. Earplugs. It seems weird, but sometimes it really helps a child. It empowers them if you give them their earplugs. They know they can put it in, but you can touch them, say, listen to mommy quickly. But if you're going to spur and you know they don't like it, it empowers them to have earplugs or earmuffs or something. And again, it says, prepare your child for social gatherings. In a sensory way, I would say to them, listen, it's going to be loud. It's going to be a lot of people. Tell mommy if you need a space. Tell mommy if we need to just go and take a breath. And we also have, with my daughter, she's a bit of a sensory child. The Lord knows what kids to give, hey? So sometimes she will say to me, Mommy, I need to push something right now. I feel like I'm out of control. And her dad have this game, and then they do pushing. They do like hands together, they push back and forwards. And she has realized, because we have given her the words, we have told her, tell us if you need pushing. I can see you're pushing this thing. I can see you want to push your brother. Can we go do our pushing game? We gave her the words. And she goes and pushes with my husband in a safe way. And sometimes he does it in a fun way, makes her feel like a cheerleader. So these are some of the ways that we can help at home with our children. Okay. And then there are some accommodations that we can make at school. If your child is not getting sensory breaks at school, talk to your teachers. Consistent daily routines and those things. There are so many things that teachers can do in the class. If your child is the one that needs to move, that child needs to be the one that's sent with a note, right, to the teachers or the office or so on. All right. So sensory development. Okay. All right. One last physical. Let's get up. Let's stretch like this. For me, looks good. Nice stretch. Nice breath. All right. The day is almost over. You can sit down. Who can feel that helps you to regulate? Can you feel how that makes you just ready to hear a little bit more? Okay. So that was the reason for the physical experiments, was for your body to see, I need to move to be able to learn. I need to move to take in information. How much more do our children need to move to take in information? Okay. So if that's one thing you can take away, movement. I said that it never gets old. Because there are opportunities for you to send your child to go play outside, but you know what helps to regulate you? When you sit with them outside. When you are outside on the grass with them, you don't even have to play with them. You can even do some of your emails when you're sitting outside. But I also realized when I became a mom, when I am outside with my kids, they stay outside longer. So that really helps. So I have done days where I take my laptop outside and I sit on the grass and work, and they just play outside. Okay, movement doesn't get old. Also with screen time, I think there was a lot covered, and I do think there was such good content covered. I listened to the last session that you had. Screen time is not all in all the enemy, right? We can limit it with boundaries. Okay, but what it does do, if you don't put a boundary, it steals time to move. And I can promise you, if we all put our screens down a bit and we go sit on the grass with our children, we will all be more regulated human beings, ready to learn and ready to parent. Because parenting, we're all still learning, right? As it goes, we're all still learning. So I want you to take home that if you want your child to succeed at school, they need to move. And I know sometimes I think with moms, I see it a lot. You want to protect them. You don't want them to get hurt. So my thing I always say to mommies is teach them to do it safely. If you see them climbing, don't say don't do it. Go with them and show them how to do it safely. All right. So let them move. Let them build those sensory blocks there at the bottom. Let them be bored. I also heard that in the previous session. If you're on screens all the time, then you don't think. Your brain doesn't think for itself anymore, right? That's that whole AI thing. But if you are watching screens, you're entertained, all the time. You're entertained all the time. And you don't have time to make plans. If you are bored, your children will start making amazing plans. And you're going to be like, who are you? So screen time, it's not all in all bad. I also like to watch series every now and then. I'm an OT, I let my children watch television sometimes as well. But teaching them how to do it within a boundary and giving them enough space to move. And that, I think, is it. Thank you very much.